Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about something you may or may not already know. Open source game clones. The website is osgameclones.com. At a high level here, this site tries to gather open source or source available remakes of great old games in one place. Now the list of games on this website is pretty extensive, and as far as I know it's still being actively maintained. And to sort through this list is simple and straightforward. Just go to the top menu bar here and select the category you want. Who knows, at the end of the day there may be a game here you end up being a big fan of, and if you already knew about this website, let me know your favorite game from it in the comments below. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about multiple arcade machine emulation on Android with MAME for Droid 2024. We talked about this one the other day, and it's already got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 1.4 is the latest update. They've fixed buttons E and F from not being assigned. They've added a new combo for fast scrolling the games list. When you're pressing up or down, press A and it'll fast scroll. And there's also performance improvements. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about the Spider-Man 2 port for PC, the unofficial Spider-Man 2 port. For context here, if you haven't been following along, this was the result of the Insomniac leaks. There was a lot of data for this game out there, and people were trying to gather that data and port it from PS5 to PC. And this could be considered some bad news for those who are hoping for the game to be ported. They say, while we have the files for Spider-Man 2, we do not have the assets. There are assets and documents, but half of them seem to be missing. Without the assets, the game is unplayable. Current status, the game is stuck on the loading screen. Some people have said to try and extract PS5's PKG assets, and they tried. Those shaders are built for PS5 with PSSL, and there is no way to disassemble that. Development has been halted for now. And speaking about hacks, next up we're quickly talking about the parent company for CBS and Paramount, who were reportedly hacked, and it affected over 80,000 people, and financial information was involved. I'll drop a link to the article in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. It's a very interesting read. Apparently they were hacked back in 2022, and they didn't know until mid-2023. And then they didn't tell anyone until the end of 2023. It's a very bizarre timeline. I don't know about you, but in my opinion here, if there was a hack involving credit card numbers and security codes and passwords and PINs, that people that were affected should have been notified a lot sooner. I mean, the hackers aren't going to wait around to use that information. And they had about a year's head start. And speaking about affecting a lot of people, next up here we're talking about Google, who was involved in a class action lawsuit. You may or may not have known about this one, but they were involved in a lawsuit, or they are involved in a lawsuit regarding Incognito Mode. Apparently at a high level here, they were tracking users' activity in Incognito Mode and tying it to their profiles. And according to Ars Technica, and I'll drop a link to this in the description below, they agreed to settle. Unfortunately, we don't have the details of the settlement just yet, but those are coming by the end of January, with a final approval by the end of February. This is super unfortunate, and a big reason why a lot of people have been switching to Firefox. And for the record, Mozilla Firefox is 100% free and open source, and you don't have to worry about uBlock Origin breaking on it in the next year. And speaking about free and open source, next up we're talking about Fossify. If you remember, a few weeks ago, maybe more than that, we talked about simple mobile tools. It was a suite of tools on Android that were 100% free and open source. And then the creator of those tools sold them to a company who slapped some ads on them and also some pricing on them. And this is where Fossify comes into play. Fossify is a free and open source fork of simple mobile tools that try to continue on what those apps were doing. Anyways, if you head to GitHub, their APKs are starting to surface there, and they should hopefully be showing up in the Google Play Store in the next few days. As soon as I know they're there, you'll know they're there. Next up, we're talking about something that you may find interesting if you're a fan of watches and gaming on watches and FPGA. The product is called RetroWatch, and a Kickstarter just launched for it. This Kickstarter was only trying to raise $35,000, and they've already raised almost $40,000, and there's still a whopping 25 days left to go. According to their Kickstarter, the prices of these things start at $169. That's for the early bird here, and at the time of filming, only 13 spots are left. And then you can pick them up for $179 on their Kickstarter, which doesn't seem very expensive, but also not cheap. Now, they say this is going to be a fully functional smartwatch. It will have Bluetooth. It's powered by an ARM Cortex M33 with 1.5 megs of fast RAM and 8 megs of external RAM. They say it'll run about any DOS-era game, and it has more horsepower than the Nintendo 64-era systems. I don't necessarily think that means emulating N64, but at the same time here, if this can do Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and even the SNES, that might be pretty impressive. However, those systems may be a bit optimistic. I mean, I can see some videos here of Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and also the NES, I think. I haven't seen anything for the SNES or Game Boy Advance just yet. And I'm wondering then, if it's only going to the NES, why are there so many face buttons? I'm also wondering about battery life. They said between 2 to 4 hours when this FPGA is fully stressed. This may be refined and improved in the future, but the description says if you're not gaming, you can expect about 4 days of battery life. So it seems like this is really a watch first and gaming second, or possibly gaming being a novelty considering it eats so much battery. To be honest here, this may not necessarily be for me, but I'm excited about it. I'm rooting for it, and I hope they do well. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Nintendo Switch. Now, since the source code for GTA 5 was leaked, rumors are circling around that it's going to be ported to the Switch. Now, I am highly skeptical of GTA 5 actually being ported to the Switch. It would be a massive undertaking, and I don't foresee it happening anytime soon, if at all. And this post here on Reddit Gaming Leaks and Rumors kind of drives that point home even more. After an analysis of the GTA 5 source code files, it doesn't appear that Rockstar was in any sort of active development getting GTA 5 on the Switch. This tells me it's not necessarily going to be an easy lift and shift, even with just the sheer size of GTA 5. I guess we'll see what happens though. I mean, by some miracle, Red Dead Redemption was able to run on the Switch and run fairly decently. Let me know your thoughts about the chances of GTA 5 running on the Switch are in the comments below. And speaking about Nintendo Switch, next up here we're quickly talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on PC with Yuzu. And Yuzu just got a brand new update here to mainline 1664. It fixes crashes in Unreal Engine 4 games on Linux. And they fixed rendering of King of Fighters 13 and also the pizza minigame in Super Mario Party. And last up here, we're quickly talking about Technopaired. And if you're a fan of Mario Kart Arcade DX 1.18, it appears the game has been translated to English. According to their Patreon page, they say we present to you Mario Kart DX 1.18 English mod, which translates the entire game, including all graphical art. And there's an interesting link on this page. I'll drop a link to their Patreon in the description below. It's also worth pointing out that on their Patreon page here, it says, sadly, our central repository is down since 4 hours. According to the host, they cannot get it up until around 8 to 24 hours. So if you're having issues with Technopaired, this may explain it. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.